Chubby, does the new Kemper sound better? Man, I don't know. I don't. Maybe not. I'm not really sure. But it's awesome. And first look today at the brand new Kemper FX. A couple people are getting these in the mail yesterday and today, so I wanted to get this video out so you could see if you've got one coming, or if you're wondering what all the new effects are about. If it's worth the upgrade. A lot of people are asking that. But so let's dive right into it. Okay, look at my screen right here. Check it out. I'm going to put it up right here. And we've got this new block of effects called the fixed effects. And when I click on that, you see all of this stuff down here. We've got the new transpose. I've got everything off, by the way, but you can hear some of these new effects here. Transpose, noise gate, compressor, pure booster, wah-wah, and vintage chorus. And in the back section, there's another little section of fixed effects that if I click on it, we get the air chorus and the double tracker. Okay, I'm going to show you what all of these sound like, but before I do that, here's why this is awesome. Stuff that's very utility, like transpose, the compressor, maybe even the pure booster. You know, a lot of times you just want to saturate the front a little bit more. You just want to have a little boost to give you a little more stuff thrown on a wah-wah. You don't always want that to eat up some of your effects blocks. I personally really love that we can now have just a wah-wah that's a go-to, that I don't have to program it in, but I always have the option of I can always add a wah on any sound I have. Personally, when I play, I hardly ever bring an expression for a wah, but I have done it on occasion. I just did it maybe 3 weeks ago, and I love using it, but I don't always use it. And I had to go in and edit my go-to performance and do all that stuff like on the fly right before the gig because I just wanted to do it. Now, I never have to do that again. Compressor, I'm a big fan of having a compressor on for the type of music that I typically play. It's now in there. If you were using a transpose feature, I used transpose. I played this little kids thing that they did, this VBS event, and we had a couple songs in A flat, and I just brought a guitar in A flat. I don't have to worry about dialing a transpose feature. I've got it right there. And not only can we access this in the software, but right here you can see actually how you can access it in the rig section of the Kemper units, the rack or the stage or the head. Right here you can see scrolling through all of those effects. You have access to them. They're not right in front of you like all the other stuff on the Kemper. It's going to take a little bit of menu diving if you're not on the software. But really these effects are meant to be, they take the load off of the 8 effects that we have in our effects blocks that we can put anything in. They're fixed and they're in this position. So how do they sound? Are they any good? Am I going to be using them? Well, yes, I am. Here's my guitar sound with pretty much nothing on it. I've got a 65 Deluxe Reverb V3. This is one of the most popular. This is a free profile. This whole pack is free. It's in the Tone Junkie free pack, and I'll put a link down below where you can download it. But also, it's like one of the most popular, one of the most downloaded profiles I believe I've ever put out, and a lot of people love this on a bunch of different platforms. Here's my guitar. And now here is the transpose feature. Let's bring it down like a baritone. Pretty cool. I could use that for sure, and it's nice having it on there. One more thing I'll note, all of these can be assigned to the Kemper remote. It's very easy to do. All you got to do is on the unit itself, hold down the on-off button, just like you would on any of the normal effects, and then you click the button on the remote. I got a new remote, works on the new remote, works on the old remote. Old remote and new remote work just the same. They just have different aesthetic. There's a noise gate right here. I think you know what that does. Compressor. I'm into it, man. I use the compressor all the time on the Kemper. It sounds great without it. Throw on a little compressor. evens out all of those finger dynamics and pick dynamics. Leaves the kind of the tone, the attack. Pick, fingers. So that's useful. To me, that's just as good as the other compressor I was using that's already in the Kemper. I'll probably be utilizing this and taking advantage of the new open block that I'm going to have access to, right? Let's turn this off for a moment and let's check out the Pure Booster. This is an effect I forget about personally because there's something really beautiful about just being able to throw a couple extra decibels in front of an amplifier. On a modeler, that's easy to forget because you have options of so many different amps and stuff. But when you're just playing an amp, you know, you set up a clon or whatever, and it's mostly just pushing the front end. It just sounds beautiful. Turn it off. It's obviously not as loud, but it's not as driven. Pretty good. Pretty good. Again, that's like an effect where it's like super useful, super utility. You're not gonna have to eat up a space using that. And that's why I think it's so this is such a cool new thing with the Kemper. I'm actually really excited about these effects because I'm gonna end up using them more. I occasionally run out of, slots on my Kemper. And it's never because I'm running everything at the same time, but it's more that I'll have, I'll turn on a wah, and then I'll have a chorus on there that I want to turn on and off, and I might have a section where I'm like, I want to put a trem on, and then I'm out of space because I'm using a compressor, I'm using a wah that's eating up two, and then I have like I'll have an X EQ in there, like in the X block. I'll have an EQ that's designed to change my amplifier a little bit for like a specific song, or give me a little more scoop for maybe a little more rockin' song, or I'll use it to even out or kind of EQ if I have a guitar switch. You know, maybe I have a Strat and I want to add a little mid-range. And so those are things that I want accessible. I don't want to take it out, but I'm not using it all the time. And so then on the fly, when I want to put on a trem or whatever, because I think I do this a lot. I think like I'm in practice and we're just playing, we're doing a little run through, and then boom, I'm like, oh, you know what? A trem could be cool here. But I don't have it pulled up and I could do it, but then but I'm using the chorus on this other song. And I just like having more options. In terms of, I hardly ever use more than 8 effects. I mean, that's getting kind of silly. But a lot of this is utility stuff that I really dig. That's the Pure Booster. That's the stuff in front. The wah, unfortunately, I left my rig somewhere and it's in transit back to me. And I don't have an expression pedal. I just opened up my new Kemper and I don't have an expression pedal. It's in my bag and it's away from me, but I'll be able to, I'll get it tomorrow. This wah is a fixed wah. And you don't have access to all the wahs here, but if you're not a huge wah connoisseur like me, and you're just like, sometimes I just want a wah, I just want it to go wah, wah, wah. That probably is going to sound like that. I'm not sure, though. I haven't tried it with an expression pedal. The vintage chorus is the full thing. You might look at some of these and go, oh, like, is the compressor a simplified version? I don't really know, but the vintage chorus, the wah, obviously that's, you just get that one wah. Pure Booster, it's like the full thing. This vintage chorus, it's the full thing. And this is where I dig turning on stuff like this. I'm going to turn that compressor and that Pure Booster back on. I like to put that, let me take the Pure Booster off, it's a little much. I like to put on a little chorus and you just get a little bit of that processed sound, like you can just kind of be like. you know, just a little bit of chorus. You turn it all the way up, and you could put these on. The default's going to be like this. You know what I mean? You got the vintage chorus right there, so you don't need to eat up a block with it. Me personally, you know, who does this advantage more? Probably the player users who haven't updated or haven't done that upgrade. They now basically have more effects. They're just fixed. And they're really cool. But now you can do all sorts of stuff. So I can also turn that on. Now, because I'm in the fixed position here, if I put on my full OC, this is like a full tone kind of thing. And now I'm trying to go for like a more Marshall-y thing here. That, to me, is like, you know, you're a little like, hey, I got to have my chorus there unless I put a chorus in on my effect. So does this change how you're going to play the Kemper? Is it going to make a change for most people? I don't really think so. I think it's just a way to utilize more DSP and give you more options. I'm probably not in the case where I'm going to run out of effects, but now I have the ability to put on, to me, it's like, let me put on a little bit of sweetness here. And let me just go, hey, that could be a fun thing to play with sometimes, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like, cool. I'll find, oh, that's there? I'm going to find a use for it. That's kind of how I view that thing. You know what I'm saying? Let me turn that little guy back off, and now we got the fixed effects back here. Now here we have the air chorus. This is not a chorus I use all the time, but there's nothing wrong with it. Awesome. And then we got the double tracker. My buddy Matt, who makes all the Tone Junkie inspired stuff, he's a big fan of the double tracker. Maybe you turn that looseness down a little bit, and you know, you throw this kind of thing in. And we got some delay and verb here, obviously, but probably better for this kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? You can turn that looseness down all the way if you want, or turn it off. But, you know, I'm running delay and reverb after it and stuff. You probably wouldn't do that. We probably would come in here and turn this thing off and just go for like a real rhythm guitar type of sound with just a little bit of looseness, you know? Live, it's a really cool thing. I never dig the double tracker when I'm just doing it by myself. You know what I'm saying? But live, it definitely adds something, and you get more of that stereo thing, kind of like movement where you feel like there's two of them. You kind of got to be stereo to do it though. I'm recording in stereo, but I'm listening in the room in mono. So maybe it sounds great, but to me, it just sounds a little redundant, honky, if you will. All right. What do I think of this whole upgrade? I went out and bought a bunch of Kempers. I'm super stoked. I bought a head and a rack because I use my rack mainly for profiling and for building stuff. I use my head also sometimes for that, but a lot of times for demo stuff back there, and just have another Kemper kicking around. The stage and the player are the ones I take out. I had a player already. I bought another stage because I'm going to be utilizing these effects for me live. I'm going to be utilizing them. The other units I bought more for the new profiling, but the stage for me, I'm not going to use that for profiling. I never have profiled on my stage unit, but I have an old stage and now, MK1 or Mark 1 stage, and now I have the Mark 2 stage. And I thought it was worth the money to buy it to get these effects right here, because that's what I use live most of the time. I do like the player as well, and I have been using that live maybe about 25% of the time, but that's if I want to do pedals and stuff. I just love the Kemper stage, how it has everything all together, and now I feel like it does even more. I have every effect I could think of right at my feet, and really for me, I know that profiler mode is, super adaptable and great, or sorry, performance mode is super adaptable and great, and I can do everything I want in there, but I actually just like having, I a lot of times stay on a single rig and use the Kemper overdrive or the Kemper drive or a green screen and a chorus and like an extra delay to just throw on that one rig. And I often am playing that. And then if I have something that's a little more of a drastic change, I'll jump over to other stuff. But for me, the majority of the time, I'm on a single rig and I'm just augmenting that rig with some chorus, with an overdrive on top, that pushes it even further, or a boost for a lead. And that's really where I live. And then I have some other ones for more verb and, verbed out, pad kind of stuff. And then that kind of thing. But for me, it's more than half of live play is on a single rig using effects to go in and out. I'm just used to doing that as a guitar player, and I think it provides a real continuity of sound. That's great. But and to me, this allows me a few more buttons to assign. It makes me feel less restricted when I want to use an EQ. I often use an EQ and XEQ live, and that eats up a slot. And then, like I was saying, I only have one slot left because I'm usually using delay and reverb. I only have one slot left for the chorus after that. And so this is great, being able to have maybe a couple boosts up front, a wah always assigned, and I'm not eating up stuff. I have the option to have a phaser, to have I like having a 808 and a clon, right? And maybe a main drive or a fuzz, I don't use them all the time, but it's nice having it there and not having to dial it in for different gigs. I now just have it there. It's pretty easy to assign to a button, and it's easy to, what I really like is, what I do a lot in performance mode is it's easy to duplicate that rig right over to another one, turn on different effects, and then boom, I've got my same sound dialed in with different effects. And now I have my core effects, some of like the pure boost and the compressor. They feel a little more tucked away now, out of the way, almost like they're where they are part of the rig section, no longer part of like my thing in front of me. It's just what I'm doing to process the sound. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels like part of the amp now in a weird way. So I'm really big on this, but obviously we're all sort of waiting for the new profiling. And I got an email from Kemper about that. I'm going to be reaching out to them with some more questions about, I really want to help give them feedback on the new stuff and the new profiling. And, I've hit that button as many times as anybody else in this world, give or take a couple people maybe. So I'm really stoked about this new profiling. I'm really stoked on what it means. A lot of people have been asking me what the backwards compatibility looks like. I don't have any insight. I have not heard a confirmation or not from Kemper on the new profiles are going to work on the old unit or what, or if they're going to sound the exact same or what. I don't know. I don't know that. People are asking me that. I don't know. I don't know if the sound will be the exact same, but I can't imagine stuff you make on the new MK2 unit won't work on the old unit. Obviously, if you're using some of these new effects, those will just be stripped out. But I can't imagine that the new profiling, when it's done and when it's out, hopefully at the end of summer, is what I heard. I can't imagine that we're not going to be able to use that stuff on the old Kemper. I don't know the specifics. I don't know if there will be some sound difference. I don't know. I don't know if there's some tweakability that could be different. I just don't know. I've been looking on the Kemper forum. It seems like to me I'm going to do a prediction video because I have some predictions about where we're going, because I've been watching this unit and this space for a long time. I know the guys at Kemper, but a lot of people think that like I have some inside track, like I know everything about Kemper. Guys, I found out about this unit the same time y'all did. The guys at Kemper, Christoph and the team, they keep stuff close to the vest. They don't want stuff leaking out. They like to build stuff, and when it's ready, roll it out. They like to kind of keep stuff close to the vest like that. I don't think they don't want a bunch of leaks and stuff. Now, have there been leaks? Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's always some leaks that happen. But they know I got a big mouth, and so they're not telling me top secret stuff. And rightly so, you guys. I make a lot of videos. I could blurt something out. I've had a lot of conversations with them, and it's hard to remember something someone told you a year ago, whether they said don't mention that or go ahead and tell everyone that. So I have some predictions about where we're going, but it's not going to be rooted in like real knowledge. It's just going to be my predictions and my hunches from what I'm seeing. But I'm into this. I think where we're going, there's going to be updates to the new Kemper that's going to make it a no-brainer to update. I'll get into that in the next video. HW.